Whose idea was it to build this house in a house?
It's the original house within a house. There's quite a few that popped up. We also have one of the best quality checking processes in construction, and we have found people and we have kicked them out of SITMA. No certification scheme comes without risk. And they have this assumption that we are the easy route, and they fall miserably. The examination is incredibly difficult.
What makes you different?
We are the first sound insulation testing scheme in the world to hold ISO 17024 accreditation. So the latest standard we have, ATTMA TFL1, 90% of that was written by me on an aeroplane coming back from Australia.
I want to talk a little bit about UKAS.
I used to have a very negative view on UKAS, and overrated and it's very expensive. Now my opinion completely changed. UKAS gives us structure, it gives us quality checks.
What's the future for SITMA, BCTA, Barry Coat?
It's big. There's only so many committees you can sit on and talk about what you want to do. One of the good things I think about ATTMA and SITMA is we just get on with it, because now this snowball has started rolling. As much as people tried to stop it in the early days, now they're going to get sucked up and flattened. We're on a roll.
Hey everybody, I'm Aidan, and we are here today at the BCTA Hub, a testing facility that supports building regulation here in the UK. A house in a house. Join me, let's take a look inside. This is a really cool transmission suite. Typically, you have two back-to-back reverberation rooms to help determine the transmission loss of partitions and absorption coefficient of materials, just like this. So a house in a house. As I mentioned to you before I was coming in, they built a whole house, a really high-spec house as well at that. I would live in this place. Look at it. I mean, the roof, it's actually like that for a reason. You'll find a little bit more out about that during our chat, but it's an incredible facility. Most of the time, people are training in hotels and in conference centers, but to come here, somewhere so natural to be able to do your training, it's just different. And that's what I like about this place. So a house in a house. Awesome. Whose idea was it to build this house in a house?
It's the original house within a house. There's quite a few that popped up. Well, it's not quite the original, because the original actually was our friend's pro climber in New Zealand. So we were asked to go and do some training over in New Zealand. As you know, I spend a lot of my life on a plane.
Yep.
We went to their place, and someone over there decided to do it, but they decided to do it for a completely different reason. Their reason was they were teaching people building wraps, building membranes, tapes, and they had a setup where they had a house very similar to this, and they were using it to do membrane installation. And I went there and we taught an air tightness class there, and an envelope 3D modeling envelope area class. And I looked at it and said, we need this in the UK. We could do so much more with a facility like this. Not that they weren't doing enough, but it was very niche to what they do. I think they've now actually expanded it, and all props to them, to be similar to what we do. But I thought at the time, hey, we could add a sound suite, we could do ventilation, we could do solar panels, we could do a lot with the space if we had one in the UK. And at the time, ATTMA had made a reasonable surplus. So we took the money from ATTMA and some money at that point from SITMA, and said, what do we want to do this? Do we want to just reinvest it in different ways? Let's do something that nobody else is doing. Let's make sure that when we train people, we never have to retrain people. And as you can see in the background, we have an L1 class happening right now. We train people on actual buildings and an actual sound suite, just probably out of shot just there. So the idea, to answer your question, the idea came from, the inspiration came from Pro Climber NZ. We took what they did and just expanded on it, and really proud of it.
Awesome. So what's happened to the roof? What's going on over here? You got like needs a repair.
The idea is that the actual roof was built, or the whole house is designed to be built from the very left-hand side to be 100% complete through to the right-hand side, which is much more incomplete, so that anybody can look at a building and see that there are how timber frame construction goes about, how pretty much best practice. I wouldn't say it's 100% best practice, but pretty much how best practice exists and how we should build timber buildings. So the whole idea was just to make it. We wanted to tell a story, and if you look inside the house, and hopefully you guys will get a chance to take some quick shots in the house, you'll see that we've left a lot of exposed timbers in the house as well, because you can do the same thing from the inside out. We have lots of what we call honesty panels, where we've left out large chunks of construction deliberately, so you can almost have an X-ray through the building.
So are you doing testing on air source heat pumps at all? Is that in your plans?
Yeah, I mean, the business model that we have is typically 2 weeks out of every 4 we do training here. So that might be everything from air tightness, ventilation, acoustics and noise control, right through to doing weird and wonderful training. We hire out the facility as well. So 2 weeks out of 4, we use the facility ourselves, and the other 2 weeks we hire the facility out to other people. And the heat pumps you see around the building, the electric, the battery storage, the air conditioning stuff, the unvented hot water, all of that stuff is our customers and our clients and our friends coming here using and hiring the facility instead of doing their training in hotels, which was 2019, 2018. That was a huge amount of training happening in hotels, and that was also part of the inspiration. Let's get people into real world facilities. Let's have them, when we do ventilation here, we do our training course, we actually measure real ventilation systems. We have 21 different ventilation systems set up here that are used as part of the training course, and that was the difference. We wanted to be less theory and more practical.
And there's nothing more depressing than being in a hotel for training, I can tell you that for free.
SITMA, in its very early days, in its infancy, decided from day one what it was and what it was always going to do. And therefore, SITMA is very much a certification scheme for testers to do testing. SITMA, 90% of the people, of the certified persons in SITMA, are not acoustic consultants. We do have some great acoustic consultants within our scheme, and fantastic that they want to be part of what we do, but most of the scheme isn't, and therefore we have certain protections around that. So we do huge amounts of data checking with the SITMA lodgement portal. We take raw data from the sound level meters and automatically create the report. It substantially minimizes the possibility of errors. We also have one of the best quality checking processes in construction. I'm going to throw it out there, in construction, because we know where people are before they go. So one of the rules of SITMA is that you have to, by midnight the night before the test, is that you have to tell us where you're going before you go there. And therefore we can just turn up unannounced on any construction site. I can pull up a list now, and I would maybe have 25 different job sites that currently have a SITMA tester on them, and I can just turn up to one. And we do sometimes, and we have done that, and we have found people, and we have kicked them out of SITMA. No certification scheme comes without risks and without bad people. That's everything in the world has that same issue, you know. Otherwise we wouldn't need the certification scheme in the first place, would we? The SITMA exams, I would add, in answer to your quality thing, is the examination is incredibly difficult. One of the points that UKAS, when UKAS came to assess us, was they felt our exam was too easy. And we showed them the data that shows our pass-fail rates. We also capture the data for other certification schemes. We capture data for other UKAS companies when they come and sit our exam. Typically, the people that do the training here, we have about an 80% pass rate. I think it was 82% the last time I looked. Of the people that came from existing ISO 17025 companies, the pass rate was way down in the 50%. That's 1 in every 2 failed to meet the SITMA requirements. So we absolutely see a lot of the people that come from the industry sit the SITMA exam. They have this assumption that we are the easy route, and they fall miserably. They fall flat on their faces.
That's true, actually. I think people had that perception.
I shouldn't. I don't want to be amused about it. That's not the point. But there is something that says we've been the, not laughing stock, but there's a lot of people out there that just have assumed SITMA is the easy route. Yeah. And for us to turn around and say, actually, no, it's not, because more people fail our exam than pass it sometimes. Shows that that's just the theory. You then get to the witnessed assessment, and we are hard on people. If you ask anyone, there'll be a bunch of SITMA people here watching now, I'm assuming comment on LinkedIn if you absolutely are. But there'll be a bunch of people who've come across us on a bad day and have felt the wrath of what we do, and they themselves have had to pull the socks up. Yeah. So absolutely, we are definitely not the easy route. Our quality remains high. We hold UKAS accreditation to ISO 17024. To my knowledge, we are the first sound insulation testing scheme in the world to hold ISO 17024 accreditation. So there was no path that we could set that said, hey, fill out this document and do it this way. We're the first people to do it.
Yeah. And
that actually makes me smile because everybody else is now in our wake. Yeah. We've set the balls and the standards so high that anyone else that tries to achieve 17025 is in our turbulence behind us.
You're a sound insulation tester, or you want to be one. What paths have you got in front of you? So obviously you're one of them, and what makes you different to anyone who's aspiring to be a sound tester?
It's certainly not the easy route, as I said.
Yep.
What makes us different is if you look at the existing routes. So previously you had UKAS ISO 17025.
Yeah.
That's a company accreditation. Mm-hmm. It's not an easy accreditation to gain. It sets the bar pretty high, I would say. Yeah. It's a tough thing to get. It's a tough thing to manage. That was option one. Mm-hmm. Option two is be a member of the ANC and then join their tester certification scheme. I'm not sure the entire full name of the thing is.
Yep.
And now we are this option number three, so which is you're able to demonstrate either prior experience or sit a recent training course and be able to then take the SITMA exam. Mm-hmm. So in terms of entry or pathways, we know the UKAS 17025 bit is difficult, but it suits big companies, especially if you already have 17025 for something different. The ANC have their model and their way of thinking and their way of doing what it is they do. Great. But for us, the pathway is
29th for the BCTA AGM. We'll have talk
examination and then quite tough examination routes. So theoretically, anybody can become a tester, but it's not quite as easy as that.
Sure. And you get good coffee here as well.
You get great coffee here, yeah. One of the things we're super proud of.
I want to talk a little bit about UKAS. Yeah. I know that was a massive effort by you and the team. Tell us the journey.
Well, it was a pretty difficult one, if I'm honest. A slightly complicated one to stick with me. But it was all started in 2018 when SITMA was born.
Yep.
We tried really hard to speak with UKAS and initially go for 17065 accreditation.
What's 17065? I've never heard of that one.
17065 is where we would be accredited to accredit businesses or companies to do what they do. But UKAS had come to us and said, we can't do that. We have a pretty major conflict of interest. The only way you could do that then is to go to an international provider. So we then went to the American national accreditation bodies and said, let's get this going. And we spent about a year trying to work with them and trying to make it happen. But it was quite evident after maybe 9-10 months that they just don't understand the building regulations. The technical people aren't quite there. And it was just something that clearly wasn't working. So we went back to UKAS and said, how can we do this? What do we need to do in order to get ourselves accredited? And they said you could do 17024, which is personnel certification. Mm-hmm. So 17024 being the individual person is the person that's accredited. And we said, great, it's kind of how the industry works anyway, let's make that happen. So we shifted everything we did from a company perspective to a personnel perspective. Mm-hmm. We had everybody had to reapply to SITMA, and we started that journey with UKAS. Of course, 2019, 2020 pandemic, moved into here, delayed.
So you started the journey before you were here?
Oh, way before.
I didn't know that. Okay,
way before. It was a full 5-year process.
Yeah.
In total, it just took a long time. But eventually we got there. We got 17024, and it took a monumental task.
Yeah.
Why do we need UKAS, right?
Exactly, right.
Well, initially I thought we didn't. ANC don't have UKAS. Why do we need UKAS? Well, I used to think that was the case. So I used to think, why do we need it? We're doing a perfectly good job as we are. And then when we really dug into UKAS, we decided at that point to employ a quality manager.
Yep.
shout out to Phil Pettit upstairs. Phil took what we did and just turned everything on its head. And instead of us saying we're good, pointed out, you can do better. You can do better. You pushed us and pushed us and pushed us. And that completely changed the game. And now I actually say different. I say, we need UKAS because UKAS makes us a better company.
Yeah.
And it pains me to say that. And sorry, UKAS. I used to have a very negative view on UKAS and think it wasn't this big thing and it's overrated and it's very expensive. And now my opinion completely changed. UKAS gives us structure. It gives us quality checks. We do crazy amounts of internal auditing, crazy amounts of checking, more so than we ever used to do.
Sure.
And that's why we need UKAS. We need UKAS because it makes us a better company.
Absolutely.
Even if you don't think it does. And I think it will become very much the industry norm in times to come.
Yeah.
Every company that operates within construction, just like Dame Judith Hackett said, every company that operates in the construction sphere that gives a certification must be UKAS accredited.
Yeah.
Big tick for us. We're there and we've done it all.
So what does it mean, having UKAS, you have it now, what does it mean for the testers on site? Does it make it easier for them to win work, to win business? Does it mean they can work in more local authority?
It gives the SITMA testers the validation they always kind of needed and wanted.
Yeah.
SITMA operated for nearly 5 years without accreditation. We only ever had a handful of tests rejected.
And it was successul without, right?
It was successful without, yeah. But we knew we needed to improve, and we always had a roadmap that included UKAS.
Yeah.
But what it does give is testers that validation. They are certified testers from a UKAS accredited certification body.
Sounds good.
It sounds good. It is good. But with that comes some extra responsibilities.
Sure.
We, one of the things we mentioned, or I spoke about with getting UKAS made us a stricter, stronger company. We could give people an extra couple of days. We could, lean back a little bit here and there. And now we just don't.
Yeah.
We are stern. And some of the testers have certainly felt the wrath with our recent stability and directivity requirements. We introduced that. We gave everybody a year's notice.
Yep.
We got to the end, and there's some testers we've just had to cut the line and say, you need to get this stuff done. This is a mandatory requirement.
Yeah.
And I think it's really helped us have the confidence to say we have to draw the lines, and we have to draw them strictly.
Sure. Barry, I want to move us to technology for a little bit. I know that you, in acoustics and airtight testing, there's tons of equipment that you need to be able to do it. I don't want to go too much into the hardware, but I wanted to speak about how we can save some time and save some of the users some money. Svantek UK have got the Building Acoustics app. And I know you can't talk too much about equipment and different people's kit, and I'm not looking here for you to kind of advocate our kit at all, but I want to know what your thoughts are and what it would mean to the users to be able to have a fully integrated application that allows them to take their test and automatically report up into your portal. What does that mean for people?
Well, I'll take it back a level into what the SITMA portal actually does, because that kind of is the starting process of it. The SITMA portal is, we take raw data from sound level meters, upload it into our system. The testers simply add all the data, all the numbers, plot numbers, volumes, sizes, construction type, all the ISO 140 requirements. And then we produce the SITMA, the portal produces the test report. And that means testers don't have to sit and copy and paste data.
Yeah.
And we're pretty innovative with that.
Yeah, definitely.
The next stage, which is where you guys are absolutely heading, is how can we make that faster?
Yeah.
The ultimate goal of SITMA is to increase quality, reduce bad testing. We know that happens.
Yep.
And ultimately increase profitability of our testers. That's always our aim for ATTMA, SITMA, the hub, is to try and make our members and our clients better off. One of the ways they can do that is time. And the next innovation, which is what you guys are working on, is making the app connect to the SITMA system, which means you can do the full test report. You're not duplicating any data. Full test report from a tablet produces the SITMA test report, and you can hand them the report before you leave. It's innovation.
Absolutely. What's the future for SITMA, BCTA, Barry Cope?
It's big. I would say we treat the companies quite individually. We are the BCTA group of companies, but we look at the Air Tightness Testing and Measurement Association. We employ developers, so these developers are focused on our platforms, focused on our software. You know, we have the ATTMA app.
Yep.
ATTMA is really moving into ventilation heavily. We've caused quite the wave in ventilation, and that's been fun. It's been a fun wave to ride on, I would say, because we just do stuff. One of the good things I think about ATTMA and SITMA is we just get on with it.
Yeah.
There's only so many committees you can sit on and talk about what you want to do. ATTMA are the type of people to do it. So the latest standard we have, ATTMA TFL1, was 90% of that was written by me on an aeroplane coming back from Australia.
That's a long flight, so
glass of champers in the hand, 24 hours of flying. There isn't a standard.
Nice.
There isn't a standard for ventilation commissioning other than BG46. So let's write one, and that's how we work. The same thing for SITMA. There wasn't a route for SITMA testers, so let's make one. I think that's where we're going now. We're taking ATTMA and air tightness, fire suppression, ventilation. We're looking at sound testing, ISO 16283 accreditation, so upgrading our scope.
Yep.
We're looking at BB93 accreditation, potentially BS 4142 accreditation, and who knows from there. So we're growing, and we're going to keep growing and keep doing what we're doing, because now this snowball has started rolling. As much as people tried to stop it in the early days, now they're going to get sucked up and flattened. We're on a roll.
So that was a awesome chat, a really interesting conversation that we had with Barry. But what did I learn from that chat that I didn't already know before? So we talked a hell of a lot about UKAS, the journey, the pain that went into getting that, and what it actually means in the long run for SITMA. You know, we spoke a little bit about the app, this fancy UK app that's coming out at the moment, how that's going to save time, how that's going to save money, the change in the industry. And you know, this is just a great facility. The sound transmission suite, the house in a house. I just see good things for this business going forward. So watch this space.